good afternoon, good evening from wherever you are joining us from. My name is Omolola Alfred, and I'm the lead training and programs lead for Dynamics 365 Nigerian community. I'm so excited to have you here on the part two of um, training today. So last week we had the introduction to Dynamics 365 finance and operation. We learned about all the introductions and everything we need to know, as a beginner in the world of Dynamics 365 finance and operation, or F&O as you would like to call it. Right. So today I have with me an amazing person, somebody that is also in the leadership team of the community and is also an expert in this field, Chiamaka Icho. Hi, Chiamaka. How you doing?
Hi, Lola. Good afternoon. I think it's afternoon here where I am at the moment. Good
It's
afternoon.
afternoon here too. So how you
Oh, okay.
doing? What do you have for us today?
I'm okay, first of all. Thank you for asking. And what I have today, I'll just be building on what we had started with last week and also progressing to show our audience and every other person that will be watching these videos eventually the different other aspects and other concepts in finance and operations.
Awesome, that is amazing. All right, so before we go into what you'll be having for us today, so to everybody that is watching, tell us where you're watching us from. Just drop in the comment section. Where are you? I'm currently here in Lagos, Nigeria. Chamaka, where are you joining us from?
I'm in Malta.
All right, so you see, wherever you're joining us from, just put in the comment section that okay, my name is this and this is where I'm joining from. All right, and as Chamaka will continue teaching us, just put if you have any questions at all, just put in the comment section. I'll be there to check and to call Chamaka's attention to it. All right, so Chamaka, over to you. Take us and
Thank
do your magic.
Thank you very much, Lola. Hi, everyone. It's nice to be here today, and I am pretty excited. So today we'll continue with the class two of what we've learned so far, and also our agenda basically is going to be looking at the core accounts receivable components. Would also have the accounts receivable daily procedures and Dynamics 365 Finance, then couple of exercises, then an overview of supply chain management and its relationships with accounts payable and accounts receivable modules. Okay, so let's proceed. Uh, okay. So, we're already familiar with the concept of customers and we're already familiar with the concept of customers, and we hear this from in day-to-day transactions or interactions, right? But what is this accounts receivable? And so accounts receivable is basically money that is owed to a business by its customers, and it is presented as an asset on a company's balance sheet. We also remember that in the previous class last week, we had touched on some parts of the general ledger, and the balance sheet is part of this general ledger concept. So as a company, for instance, an electric company that bills its customers for electricity, for instance, Ikeja Electric, right? You only get the bills of electricity that has been consumed, right? Now, for Ikeja Electricity as an organization or as a business, they would be posting that payment or this expected amount from you as the customer to your account and expecting it in their books is going to be showing as money that is supposed to be received, right? It's only when you as a customer makes this payment, settlement happens and they now these bills are eventually cancelled off, knocked off, and you are cleared of your debts, right? So we're already familiar with this concept. And how do they relate to Dynamics 365? So customers, we know that customer is someone who purchases items, right? So when they purchase these items, these products, we create customer invoices based on either if it's a sales order or maybe it's a service, right? And then we create free text invoices if it's something that is not related to a sale. So when we create free text invoices, when we do not have physical item in our inventory. These are items that when you go into your warehouse, you do not see them physically, you cannot count them. So that is when you go ahead to create a free text invoice. So when this invoice is now delivered, right, we go ahead to ask for payment. You ask for payment from your customer, and the customer gives you the payment, and this transaction is deemed as completed. So, but for us to further discuss customer invoices, right? I don't know if you can see my screen clearly. Omolola, can everyone see it clearly? If you can't see the screen, just please do notify us that you can't see my screen. All right, great. Hi, Emmanuel. Welcome and thank you for joining us. So back to the concept of customer invoices. For us to discuss customer invoices and how they fit in with the business processes for accounts receivable, as depicted in this illustration, right? Um, the managed projects or and process sales orders, right, feed into the accounts receivable in different steps for eventual collection for this product and services. I'll explain. Now, this process involves the following steps, right? You process customer prepayments. We currently, at least we know that the iPhone 15 is currently out, and now most times, most companies would ask you to pre-order, right? When they say pre-order, you are making a certain amount of payments, not the entire amount, for purchase of this product. Now, the customer is, or the organization is going to be taking note of this payment. They're going to manage it. How do they manage it? They match that value that you have paid against your account as a customer. We're going to be showing you eventually how to create this customer so we can understand this a lot better, right? Now, they post this value that you have paid to your customer account so that eventually when you receive this item, they raise invoices to show that this is the item that was sold to you, this is the amount that is expected from you, this is the amount you had paid earlier on, and these are the delivery details eventually. So these are the things that you have on your invoice. Sometimes we call it receipts. I mean, when you walk into Slots and the rest of the other stores, right, to purchase a mobile device, after you've had this conversation with the salesperson, you go on to say, okay, give me the product, and they give you a receipt. Now the receipt carries this information, where you are, with your name, and your name in this case is the customer name, right? Your name, the item that you purchased, the value of that product, your delivery address too, and sometimes the terms of conditions of sales, right? So these are the things that you have on the invoice. So when the customer or the organization manages this customer prepayments, they also record this. They go ahead to invoice the customers, and if there are times when the customer eventually starts to make payments, they receive this payment and enter this payment, taking us back to general ledger that we learned about last week, right? The general ledger we have stated it's a collection of all the entries that are made in the business, whether it's an inflow or outflow. So regardless of what kind of transaction it is, it has to be recorded on your books, right? So no matter how little, even if it's a penny, even if it's a kobo, it has to be registered in your books. And that is why, this organization has to manage the prepayments when you make these payments, and when you eventually collecting, or when they're eventually asking you for the full balance of this transaction, you are sent an invoice, and eventually issue receive payment from you, right? So now, aside from that, after they've received this payment from you, you leave with the item, but back end or within their store, so as to clear their books and make sure that everything balances. Like you'll be taught or remember from what's it called, from our business studies, for every entry there's a corresponding, for every debit there's a corresponding credit, right? So they go ahead to settle these transactions so that you are not seen, or you are not seen on the books as a debtor, someone who is owing, whereas you've made payments, right? So that is where the settling process comes into play. This payment has to be settled so that you are clean of all debts. All right. There are three, and also they go ahead to also, because of this, they are able to manage who is owing them, who is overdue. Because for some customers, you are granted credit facility, right? Either if it's 30 days, or if it's 60 days, or 120 days, 90 days, depends on the relationship that you have with this organization. So they go ahead. This accounts receivable is now used to manage. We have a module called the credits and collections module, which is linked back to the accounts receivable module, to know who is owing and how to chase your customers to collect your money. Now, there are three types of customer invoices that are available, right? We have the customer invoices for the sales orders, then we have the free text invoices, and we have the pro forma invoices. Now, what are free text invoices? Or rather, we'll start with the customer invoices, right? So, like I'd mentioned earlier, customer invoice is bill that is given, it is related to a physical item, right? So, it is proof that this item was sold to you, and it is created based on a sales order. It includes your order lines, your item numbers, and the item numbers are based on the setup on the system. They are matched and specified against some main accounts and posted in the ledger, right? Now, free text invoices are raised when it is either a service, whether it's either a service, or say maybe a charge, for instance, right? So you go ahead and use a free text invoice. Now, free text invoice contains order lines, but it doesn't contain item numbers, right? So it has the order lines. Then you specify the ledger accounts where you are posting these values to. You have the amount. Then you have the description. Of course, the descriptions are very, very important, so that you can always, just in case of reconciliations, you're able to go back and trace what each particular posting is for or was for. And it's also important to enter the appropriate sales tax information. Then for pro forma invoice, I mean, if your organization is a distributing organization, for instance, you have clients come to you and say, oh, we want XYZ kind of laptop, for instance. We want XYZ kind of laptop, for instance, right? Now, this XYZ laptop, you have you receive a quote from the customer that this is what they want. Now you issue out a pro forma invoice to the customer. Now the pro forma invoice doesn't carry a financial value most of the time. It doesn't say that a sale has been made. A pro forma invoice is kind of used to, okay, you know what, this is this XYZ type of laptop, 100 units of this XYZ type of laptop, right? We can deliver it in, say, in 6 weeks, because we have to order it from the OEMs and all of that, right? So you have 6 weeks, and we're going to be selling it for you for say X amount, right? Now this customer says, oh, you know what? Oh, I cannot buy it at X amount, and 6 weeks is a lot of time for me. I cannot wait. Can you do it in 4 weeks? You know, so the pro forma invoice kind of allows, so you know, it kind of allows the buyer to kind of state and be sure that the terms and conditions of sale are convenient and comfortable for him or her, or the organization in this case. Now, which is now when this agreement is reached or is arrived at, that is when an invoice is now sent out to the customer to make payment. So a pro forma invoice does not carry any financial implication onto the system. So you can always generate one to help your clients to negotiate across a particular order that you have. So that it also helps the organization as well, so that they do not end up having or ordering stock that customers do not want to buy or eventually do not buy. So it kind of saves them from losses eventually. Any questions so far? Can you hear me? Am I too fast? Am I too slow? Just let me know. All right. So The accounts receivable daily process procedures in Dynamics 365 Finance. I'd mentioned we have sales, deposits, then this other two, returns and refunds. I don't think I'd made mention of it at any point. So sales, like I'd said, is when goods exchange hands, right? And money is received. Then we have deposits, like I'd say, sometimes prepayments, or sometimes we have customers that say, oh, you know what? I have this 200 million naira that I am not using right now, and I do not want to spend it. See what you do for me. I want to pay it into your company's account, or company's, yes, your business account, so that you keep it for me whenever I'm ready. I know I'm going to purchase from you, but I do not know what I'm purchasing eventually for now. So right now, just keep this money with me. Whenever I'm ready, I would come and would always will do business together, right? Now, with the 200 million naira, you cannot just leave it hanging, right? You have 200 million naira in your bank account, but your books, what happens? So you have to post this value against this customer. So you are going to be debiting this customer this time around, because your sales, your customers are your debtors, right? In finance terms, your customers are your debtors. So, but this time around, because you're receiving value, so this is, you're going to be crediting this customer's account this time around. Sorry, I'm mixing that up. You are going to debit your customer. So when you debit this customer, you are posting this value against this customer's account, so that when this customer starts to purchase item, you just begin to do, deductions. You begin to deduct. The customer comes back and say, okay, you know what, and I want to purchase items worth 100 million naira. So from that 200 million naira that I have given you at some point, just deduct 100 million naira from my account. Sometimes some organizations call it payment on account. So you have this payment that is sitting there against this customer's account, right? Sometimes you also have situations where you sell items to customers and they come back and say, you know what, this item you sold to me is defective, I can't use it, or this is not what I want. So returns happen. So how do you manage returns? You have the return orders, so there are processes that are situated on the system, right? So that you manage this. You either bring back the stock, return the stock into your inventory after certain inspections. So most businesses have a return policy, right? Where you kind of, take for instance, in the retail, in the fashion industry, right? Some persons will purchase clothes and go on to come back after 7 days and say, without the labels and all of that, and say, oh, you know what, I don't want this clothes anymore and all of that. But based on the policies that these organizations have set, if you're returning this item, you're going to be returning it with your receipts, or you're going to be returning it with the labels. There are certain things that have been put in place. So and within a specified period of time, right? So within this time, these policies are looked at. Oh, okay, this item qualifies for a return. So they collect this item from you and return it back into the inventory using the return order. Now, sometimes it depends if they have to give it back to you, give you a replacement, for instance, or a refund. Depends on what the situation is. And if a refund has to be done, then sometimes then you now have to have a credit note created against this customer. I mean, I've been talking a lot, so I would have to go into the system to now show you. For instance, we'll have to start with creation of creating our customers, then how we can now proceed to maybe raise a free text invoice against our customers. So from the last time we were introduced, this is what the dashboard looks like. This is what the Dynamics 365 Finance and Operation dashboard looks like. This is a trial environment. So hence certain things might look a bit out of place, but yes, that is it for it. So from the last class, we're using the USMF environment. And from the last class, we were taught that we have different legal entities. You can have as many as possible in a particular environment. These are different businesses that belong to the same organization. So to create the customer, from our dashboard, we can navigate to the accounts receivable module, then navigate to the customer node, then all customers. Now there are certain things for every customer so that you can differentiate Mr. A from Mr. B and Mr. C, right? To go ahead to create, there are certain things that are mandatory you have to set up so that you can have your customer created. So to create a customer, we click on new. customer accounts, because the system is not using an automatic number sequence, right, where it has to assign a number to this customer, we have to specify one here. So I would say DE003 because the last one I have here is DE002. Now, so I do not have any customer with this customer account number. So then name, I would say Chiamaka's, oh, okay, Chiamaka and daughters. Okay, so this is our customer's name, Chiamaka and daughters. Then we have customer group. Customer group is kind of helps us in reporting and also applying certain discounts and all of that. Kind of a way that we arrange our customers based on how they suit our business needs and purposes. So we have the wholesale customers, we have major customers, retail. So this is usually dependent on organization. It varies from organization to organization, right? So I would say that Chiamaka and daughters are a are retail customers. So we sell to them in bits, right? We go on and assign mode of delivery. These ones are not mandatory, but we'll just assign that, right? Mode of delivery. So the mandatory ones are the ones that usually have the red asterisks. We must have them assigned, else we cannot proceed to the next step. So would be delivering to Chiamaka and daughters via truck. So would assign that. Then our sales tax group. This is tax related, so what kind of tax conversations do we have with this business? So I'll just assign this. These are already pre-populated on the system. So, but setting it up would always set up based on business or organization requirements. So that's why it's important to carry out comprehensive requirements gathering to get every information you will need for your customer before setting up the system, right? Now, we'll set in an address. I don't know anywhere in US, but I'll just say 123 Maple Streets, for instance. Then that will be it. So I don't think these are mandatory. Okay. So the next thing I'll do, I'll have to put up the phone number 1234567, then email address chiamaka at xyz.co. .com. All right. So we save and open. Now saving and open is going to, so we have this customer. Okay. Rather we save because if we want to go on and create a sales order immediately, then we use the save and open functionality, but we're just creating this particular customer to to just have them saved on the system. Then we can always come back at every point in time to refer to this customer account. So I save. What's going on with this? Okay, saved. I mean, it's taking quite some time, but this is just because it's a trial environment. All right. So we have Chiamaka and daughters created as a customer now on the system. Now, if we look up here, we have different tabs here. So I'll be explaining what some of these tabs do. So this tab kind of under the customer tab, we have the accounts. Under the accounts, we have contacts or change party association. These are all under the organization administration module. So maybe you want to change the kind of customer this person is or change the party association. This is where you come to do that. Now, by the time, because this customer does not have any transactions on their account at the moment, that is why we have these tabs or these buttons grayed out, right? Now, balance, this customer does not have any value, but if we click on balance, it's going to be showing us 0 because there are no transactions on this customer's account. Let me, it's going to take some time, but okay, so we see it's 0, right? Okay, so we go back because there's no transaction, nothing has happened on this customer's account. So, and this is just all that, down to rebate management, and bank setup. If you want to set up the bank accounts, depends on the kind of system that you run. For people that make use of direct payment, electronic reporting, yeah, for their payments to kind of integrate your cards, rather integrate the cards to this customer account, and whenever they make any transaction, this the transaction is deducted, the value is deducted directly from the customer's card. Then for sell, the sell tab, we have here, you set up, maybe you want to create a sales order, opportunity, a sales quotation, trade agreements, discounts, and all of that. This is where this happens. Now for invoices, you want to invoice a transaction, or you want to create a free text invoice, which will be coming to eventually for this particular customer. This is where you can do that from, or you can also always navigate from the invoices tab. Now you want to collect, maybe you're trying to now, like I said, this customer has not paid for a while, and we want to just, process collection letters, remind this customer of the value of the amount they're owing us and all of that. This is where we do all of that. Then projects depends on the kind of, if you have a project with this customer and all that. Okay, so with that done with this customer, we can now go ahead to to create a free text invoice, because we have a transaction with this customer. So let's refresh to see if we'll find the customer here. Okay, Chemaka and Daughters, right? So we want to create a free text invoice and post a value against Chemaka and Daughters. So to create a free text invoice. So for free text invoice, we'll go from accounts receivable module. Accounts receivable module, yes. Then under invoices. So remember when we created customers, we came from the customer tab. And now we're going to the invoices, right? And all free text invoices. So here we're creating a free text invoice, right? These are all the free text invoices that have been created on this particular legal entity. So here we want to create one against Chamaka and Daughter. So we click on new. So customer accounts, and here we specify Chamaka and Daughters, right? And populates. Okay, so here we can now check, okay, are these values, when do we expect this value to, this invoice to be due? So they have to make this payment on or before the 3rd of October, right? Are we specifying maybe any payment specification and all of that? So this usually varies from place to place. Now, this description, why are we charging Chamaka and Daughters? And we say consulting fee, because we're consulting for them. Now, for the main account, this main account is always scheduled, or always created in the chart of accounts, right? So we'll have to now specify the right account for this. So let's say accounts receivable, um, let's say other receivables, right? Because this is where this particular transaction should be going to, and the value is, say, maybe $500. And we've specified this, right? Sometimes, so for the line details, sometimes you have to specify. So we already specified the description. This is what is showing under general as the invoice text. But sometimes maybe this thing is supposed to be coming in as a fixed asset. We can now specify if it's a fixed asset, and a fixed asset number, and a fixed asset, the book, the fixed asset book as well. But for this case, that is not the case. So here, reasons, but this is not applicable for this particular transaction. And we want to have a financial dimension line. The financial dimensions is just a way that helps us categorize our transactions and helps reporting and makes reporting really, really easy. But for the purpose of this particular training, I will not be specifying that because I'm not sure of what the setup is against these financial dimensions, and it might hinge us from proceeding. So I would not specify that. So with this done, so we check the header to be sure that we have all our information ready, and we save. Okay, so we have everything set up and we're good. Now save. Sometimes some organizations have workflows due to and workflows are how we set up, or rather, an electronic way of ensuring that every document on the system goes through certain approvals, right? You want certain persons to see this before they are actually posted to your books. But this time around, we don't have anyone here. So I'll just go ahead to posts. And this value has now been posted, and click on OK, and this value 500 has been posted to our customer Chiamaka and Daughters. Great. Okay, so now see if this value actually hits Chiamaka and Daughters. So we'll go back to Chiamaka and Daughters as a customer, and let's see what happened on the account. So Chiamaka and Daughters. So remember that the last time we were here, these transaction buttons were grayed out because there was no transaction here. But now with the free text invoice that we had posted, there's a transaction, and those buttons are now free, right? So to go back to, okay, so we'll go to transactions. And we see this value. So we see the voucher. We can see this is the amount that was posted, and the description as well. I don't know if we have any questions so far. Any questions? Any questions? Okay. All right. So okay. So I'll be proceeding to now talk about an overview of supply chain module and its relationships with the accounts payable and accounts receivable modules, right? So with the supply chain management, we know that is how we manage all our items, how they come into the system, how they leave, and all of that. So we have, looking at this image, right? Looking at this image will be depicting, so we have our vendor. So with our vendors, that is, if you look at the arrows between, we have the vendor invoice, we have the seller. So we have the vendor here, right? So to purchase item from our vendor, we create a purchase order. You are the purchaser, right? This is you here. You are creating a purchase order to the vendor so as to receive the item. Now, when you purchase this item, the vendor now sends you a vendor invoice. So with the vendor invoice, that is when you make payment. And with this item, vendor ships this item, right? And it comes into your inventory. Sometimes these items that are coming in from the vendor sometimes can be what's it called, materials that you use to produce other items. So if you are rather a manufacturing organization, so you now go ahead to produce what the items you are going to be selling eventually, right? But if you are not, it still comes back into your warehouse, right? Because that is where you hold these items. Now you have a customer that raises a sales order rather. So from the customer side, and it comes to you as the seller, it comes as a sales order, right, to you. But from the customer's end, it is coming as a purchase order. Just at the same way, when you were raising an order with your vendor, it was a purchase order to the vendor, and the vendor was sending you an invoice, right? That's the same way. Everything just reverses this time around when you are raising an order to sell to your customer, right? Now, when customer has made payment, the next thing you do from your inventory, from your warehouse, you create, you pick the item, pack it, and the next thing you ship this item and it is delivered to your customer. So you see that at the end of the day, everything that we have on Dynamics, all the major modules that we have on Dynamics 365 finance and operations are kind of intertwined with each other, and every one of them has a great role and importance with the other one. At this point, I would ask, this is my last slide, and I would like to know if we have any other questions or any questions at all regarding the accounts receivable module, maybe the supply chain module, or any questions in general at all. Hi, Lola, are you there? Hi, Lola. Any questions?
Hi, Chamaka.
Yes. Hi, Lola.
Yeah, so
Do we have any questions?
we don't have any questions for now. Thank you so much for this awesome and straight to the point training. It's amazing. We don't have any questions from for now. We just have people greeting you. We have so let me just
Hi.
highlight some things. All right, so Oluwa Bukola is saying go better mate. Um
Hi, Buki.
all right, so we have Daniel who is introducing himself. He says he's joining from
Okay.
Lagos. We have Emmanuel also joining from Lagos. So we have people here. So one question, since nobody has a question, I just want to quickly throw a
Okay.
question. So now we've done introduction to Dynamics 365 FNO. So we did the first class that Wina took us, and now we're doing the second class. So if I am a newbie in the world of dynamic CRM, not CRM, rather ERP FNO. So, what are the things you would like to tell me to do? So, I've taken the first training, I've taken the second training, right? So, what should I do from here? What should I look on?
Okay, I would say that. So first and first, if you decide to remain within the space of finance and operations, then it's important that you understand your basic accounting. So if you don't know that normally, or you're part of the people that did not enjoy accounting classes in school, right? Then I would recommend that you take this course, Accounting for Dummies. It helps you understand the fundamentals, why you post the way you post, and why this account is the one that receives the value at every point in time, right? Then after that, or while you are doing that, I would also recommend that you take you use the resources available to you on Microsoft Learn to like follow the pathways. You can start with MB300, although that's going to be retiring very soon, but MB300 shows you that you start from the basics, trying to set up the system, because the truth of the matter is that if you do not set up the system accurately from the onset, then you're going to have problems with your reporting eventually. So, and
So, you
understanding,
said
so
accounting for dummies, right?
accounting for dummies, yes, accounting for dummies. Or you can also try accounting for non-accountants. Depends
So,
on
they're
your.
different. Accounting for dummies
So
and
there are two
accounting.
different books, yes.
Okay. They are
Accounting for
books?
Accounting for non-accountants is a book. Then there's a course. I don't know if it's on Udemy anymore, but accounting for dummies, that is a course. But accounting for non-accountants, it's a book. But you can always get the PDF version, to go through and have better understanding.
Okay, that's awesome. Yeah, please go on.
Yes, then with the books then, or the courses, depends on which you choose to go for. Then you can now follow the Microsoft Learn pathway, try to understand why you have to do. And at least Microsoft Learn kind of helps you with it gives you also assignments, exercises, and environments to practice on, so you can try your hands on this thing, and from there seek out internships and boot camps, organizations that you can work with to further strengthen your learning curve or your learning process.
Okay, that's awesome. Also, can you please give us maybe like four companies that, so first give us like two to three or four, I don't know, depending on how much you know, of companies that would employ FNO in Nigeria. Since you know this is a Nigerian community, then you could give us like two or three international organizations that would always employ or would want to employ um an FNO expert. Sorry, not expert now, somebody you know, beginner in
Okay.
FNO.
I think I don't know if I mean it's been some time that I left, but I don't know. Gems kind of used to do this internship for Dynamics 365 all round BC, F&O, and I think CRM as well. Yes. So I don't know if they still do that internships, but you can always check out Gems. Then I know Reliance Infosystems also employs interns. You can get to learn while work and learn. Then I don't know if Technology Distributions Africa still employs interns, but at least I was lucky to walk through. That was the part that I got in. But I know they use Dynamics. Then do I know of any other organization? I'm not so sure. At least these are the three that come to mind that I know that would employ at least interns, right? Then when you now strengthen your the more you work in the organization and get to understand the system a lot better, there are lots of other organizations that are looking for experts that will manage their systems. I know Access Bank uses Dynamics. I know, yeah, Access Bank. I know DPR uses Dynamics. Oh, there's Rugby. Yes, Rugby consultant. So you can also check with them for internship or placements as well.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you so much for all of this. So, another question that you know, since we have more time, that I would
Yeah.
like to ask is: so, if I am a newbie, right, and I started with Dynamics 365 from the ERP side, right? Okay, we have a question here, but before we take the question, let me just you know quickly take it.
Okay.
So I started from Dynamics 365 BC. All right. And how and my goal is actually to land into or to later move into um FNO. So how am I going to, you know, is it number one, is it a good place to start from? Right? So I'm currently doing BC. I'm interning as a BC intern right now. So, but I want to later move into finance and operation. And I studied accounting, right? I'm asking for my sister. She studied accounting. She's currently doing internship in BC. So, how do you think she can actually move to finance and operation?
I mean, the most important thing is there's no way you will say is not the best place to start. Wherever you start is good, right? And since she knows where she wants to go to eventually, I think some of the, like I would say, or I would tell everyone, right? Accounting principles are the same everywhere. It doesn't matter the system, it doesn't matter the organization, it doesn't matter where on earth you are, the principles are the same, right? So with having that, right, the only thing is maybe to seek out for why she already has this understanding of BC. There are a lot of things, it's not exactly so different from each other. Maybe some nomenclatures are not the same, some namings are not the same, and all of that. Some things are not placed the same way, and all of that. But it's just when you get your hands on the system, right? You can now start understanding. You now see, oh, this is this. Okay, this is what we used to call it in BC, and all of that. So to now move from BC to F&O, I mean, is to now look out for organizations or seek out greater responsibilities, for instance. So if the organization where she's interning has a BC team, most likely they'll have an F&O team. But if they don't have, try to, like communities like this, reach out to other people who you know are in the F&O space, ask questions. Maybe you can set up maybe 1 hour, 2 hours every weekend or something, just share knowledge and all of that. So you start, so that when you now get an opportunity, right, to get into a role, it's not
Mhm.
exactly so new to you anymore,
Mhm.
and you can transfer the experience and the knowledge you have from BC to F&O
Awesome.
eventually.
Awesome. Thank you so much. That's amazing. That you've said that BC and FNO, they're not so different. The
They're
principles,
not.
core principles are the same and all of that. So it's encouraging. She's listening. I'm sure she's dancing right now. All
Okay.
right. So to just clarify before I post this, you said accounting for dummies, a Udemy
Yes,
course. Accounting for non-accountants, it's a PDF. Well,
it's a
so as a
PDF book. Yes.
we're going to try to get this link, but for now, I'm just going to post this on YouTube so that they have it. So the
Okay.
Microsoft, you say DP301, or what did you give
No,
me
no,
the
MB300, or just although it is going to be deprecated soon, like it's going to be off soon, but the material should still be available somehow. Yes, the pathway should be available. Yeah.
Awesome, awesome. Okay, so yes. So now I'm going to just yes, so I've sent this. All right. So for everybody watching, just check there. These are resources to check for F&O enthusiasts. And you see accounting for dummies, accounting for non-accountants. It's a PDF, and MB300 on Microsoft Learn. So we have a question here. So she says, yeah. So Sarah Lucky says, which ledger account will the receivable payments go into, please?
So usually it depends on the kind of transaction or the kind of invoice or payment that you receive first, right? If it's a free text invoice and how you receive your payment, it's going to be going straight to that account, what that it's meant for. It's going to be receiving that. But if it's a stock account, right, or you sold items, so there's going to be a split between the inventory account and maybe your profits and loss accounts and all of that. So it's just dependent on the scenario most of the times.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So also Lucky, are we good with that? All right, so thank you so much. So before we go,
Okay.
right, as a community, we have a community WhatsApp group. So this is where you can always, if you're having any issues at all, you can always come on this group and ask your questions. There are experts there that will definitely answer you, and they will help you with whatever you're going through. If you're a beginner, you want to meet with like-minded people that are trying to learn, and the community is not just for F&O, the community is for the whole Dynamics 365, right? So we have people in Nigeria, we have people outside Nigeria on that group. We have so we do trainings like this. So you might want to join that group so that all the links I will be posting will be there. If you want to join the group, we have a link that would actually take you to that. So there's a form that we already have for this particular training. So you could check our LinkedIn, you could check our Twitter. So follow us on all those pages to our LinkedIn, our Twitter. Subscribe here on our YouTube channel so that you will be informed anytime we're having all these trainings. These trainings are free. We do it as a community to help ourselves, right? Help ourselves grow. So that is that. And this is all we have for you today. Thank you so much, Amaka. It's been
Thank
amazing.
you.
I'm not an F&O expert, but sorry, I'm not even in the F&O space. I'm not even in the ERP space at all. And I heard all you said, and I'm like, oh, this is good information. Thank you so much. We are
Thank you
grateful
very
to
much. Thank you for
you.
having me. All right.
All right.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.